Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for this Edinburgh and Oatridge Student Support online event. We're joined by Sharon Cowan, who is going to be talking about admissions. We have Saul, who's going to be talking about the Student Association. And we have Slava and Janet, who are both going to be talking about student support. So Sharon, I'll let you take over.
Okay, good morning, well, good afternoon now. So we're going to go through about progression within SRUC. So students can apply to progress from either an NC level course to an HNC level course. They can also apply to go from a certificate course to an advanced certificate course, and they can apply internally to do that. So we'll go into the next screen. So entry requirements for all the courses which we offer at SRUC can be found on the website or UCAS for the HE courses, and you can just log on to our website even if you want to apply through UCAS. You can look for the course on our website and it will direct you to UCAS to apply. If it's another course, so say for example it was a certificate to the advanced certificate, it will just direct you to the registration page for SRUC, but for UCAS it will direct you straight there. Some courses will ask for specific subjects, science, English, perhaps maths. If you have or you are undertaking any non-SQA or A-level qualifications and you're unsure about the suitability, please contact admissions to discuss, because not everyone is sitting the standard entry qualifications. So rather than applying and you're unsure, you can either call us or you can email us to ask. Certain courses may also ask for relevant work experience and additional supporting documents. Again, if you have any questions, you can contact us. If you do submit and we do require further information, we will email you. So even if you've applied through UCAS, you will receive an email from SRUC. Admissions email wouldn't come from UCAS, it would come from us. So we always advise people, if you have applied, just please keep checking your emails and your junk folders, just should there be anything further we require. So the next slide. So if you're currently on an NC course and you want to apply to an advanced certificate, certificate, diploma course, whatever, applications are submitted directly to SRUC through the website. You can find your course in the course catalogue. So then under apply now, select the correct campus and mode of study. So there is drop down boxes. So always make sure you click the correct campus and the correct mode of study, and then you'll be taken to the online application system where you would register and fill in your application. So the next slide, if you're applying for an HNC, an HND or a degree course, full-time applications are submitted through UCAS. So again, you would just go on to our website if you want, or you can go direct to UCAS, but you can go straight onto our website and that would direct you to submit an application through UCAS. But if it's a part-time HNC or HND course or distance learning, so for example, if it was HNC Wildlife and Conservation Management, you would have the options of full-time and it will direct you to UCAS. You'd have part-time or the distance learning course, and applications are submitted through our website. So just make sure when you are doing your drop-down box that you will that you choose the correct one. Again, it's in the course catalogue, then under apply now, select the correct campus and correct mode of study. If it's distance learning, you do choose that option, not part-time, and then you'll be taken to the online application system. So the next slide. If you're applying for postgraduate certificate, diploma or an MSc, again, applications are submitted directly to SRUC through our website. You find again the course in the course catalogue. Under apply now, select the correct campus and mode of study, and again you'll be taken to the online application system. So the next slide, whenever you have submitted an application, you will receive an email acknowledgement from SRUC. You should receive that within 24 hours. So for any reason, if you do not receive it, please get in contact with admissions and we can look into it, because sometimes people think they have actually submitted, but it hasn't come through. So please do get in touch. SRUC is committed to supporting our applicants and continue to make decisions on applications in a timely way. If you think you've been waiting for a considerable amount of time, then do get in touch just to ask the status of your application. We communicate with applicants via email, so please keep an eye on your email and check spam, junk folders regularly, just in case. Another thing, please check your emails, because we've had quite a few things pinging back in the last couple of weeks because people's emails are actually full and they won't take anything else. So we've been having to get in touch with people saying, please delete a lot of your emails to make space for further, because some of these have been offers that have been made and they've pinged back. A number of courses may interview applicants. If you're selected for interview, more information will be emailed to you. So again, this is another reason you really do need to keep an eye on your emails and your junk folders for anything if we do want to interview you. So next screen. If you've applied for an FE level course, so that is your NC certificate, advanced certificate, you'll receive the outcome of the application by email from SRUC, and you need to respond to SRUC via the link in the email. If it keeps taking you back to the first screen, just drop an email to admissions@sruc.ac.uk or call us, because some people, there has been a glitch in the system and it hasn't taken where you've clicked the link. So if there's anything at all, just get in touch just to ask if the acceptance has come through okay. If you've applied through UCAS, you'll receive the outcome of your application from them and you reply via UCAS. So types of offer that may be made to you, there could be an unconditional offer. So your qualifications meet the entry requirements to start the course. A conditional offer, you're required to meet the academic or other requirements to start the course. The conditions will be outlined in the offer. It may be that you do meet the academic entry requirements, but you haven't submitted a reference, or for some of the horse care or equine courses, we may be waiting on riding evidence or yard reference or whatever, but the conditions will be outlined in the offer. A reject, unfortunately, we're unable to offer you a place on the course you've applied for. Where possible, we will make and suggest an alternative course. So some people may apply perhaps for an HNC level course. They don't quite meet the entry requirements, but they would meet the entry requirements for an NC level course. But we would advise you of that in the reject decision. Again, if you do get a reject decision and you want feedback on why you've been unsuccessful, get in touch with admissions and we can provide further information for you. So the next slide. So just how to contact us. So you can email admissions@sruc.ac.uk, or you can call us on the number there and a member of staff will be able to advise, or if they're not able to, they'll take your contact details, find out the answer for you and get back to you. So the next slide. That may be it. Yep, that's it. If you're applying internally through UCAS, you would use the buzzword, so you can link yourself to SRUC for a reference. The buzzword is SRUC 2025. If you're applying to an external institution, please speak to your course tutor and ask if they are happy to provide a reference for you. It's just a matter of courtesy, really, and so that they know to log into UCAS and check for your application. So that's me. I'm not sure whether Sol is here yet. Hold on, can I just check? Yes, he is. So I'll pass you over to Sol, who is the SRUC co-president.
Hi everyone, I'm part of SRUC. SRUC is SRUC's student association, and basically our job is to represent you at a high level and make sure your thoughts and feelings are getting shared, and to advocate for you basically. Yeah, some of the things we're doing this year are campaigning for better student support and working with different courses to come up with better solutions basically, and kind of make sure we've also running some events and getting student voice and speaking to students around about that's just a bit about SRUC. So we've got a lot of information on our website that you can follow, and we've got more information on SRUC's website, but I'm going to pass you over to Slava and student support now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Slava Miller. I work in Oatridge campus as a pastoral student support tutor here. So my role is to do guidance to our students and also provide wellbeing support, which covers the health, mental health, and any issues on a campus. So that's what I do, available to all our students to make sure that everybody's got support in place. What usually happens, we heard Sharon about everybody's entering and starting college and starting with us. So as a part of student support team, we introduce ourselves during a welcome week. Even beforehand, if you would like to get in touch, please do so. I think I left a website for us, and all the information is there as well with a contact for student support services. So as a pastoral student support tutor, I will contact all the students who declared any disability or any really support requirements before you start. We will get in touch and we will be having discussions about perhaps how can we help, any previous support that you might have, while you were studying at college or a different establishment or high school. So we'll have a really good chat about how can we help and how can we meet your support requirements to make sure that you can pass the course and you're really successful and you're doing really well. I will open pastoral student support learning plan, which will then look at any reasonable adjustments perhaps that we need to put in place to meet your needs or everybody's needs who is starting with us. And it could be either any health requirements, it could be mobility issues, or perhaps any mental health diagnosis. On the top of that, part of my role is to be available to all students, and so my door is always open. And we talk about perhaps how can we manage the mental health, during the studies. We might have a chat around exam stress. So we're really talking about how to manage the mental health and your well-being while you're studying with us. Part of my role is being a safeguarding officer, as well as a named person for corporate parenting. What corporate parenting means, really, it covers all the students who are care experienced, carers. We've got estranged, refugees, people perhaps who are homeless or they're facing a homelessness, anybody who is from traveling community, and also survivors of abuse. So again, if perhaps come under these categories, please get in touch, speak to student support services on each of the campuses. Each campus has their own named person. All this information is on a website. So please, when you're looking at, what I would like to highlight as well, when you're registering, there will be a form to fill in for student support services. So if you have any support requirements, as I mentioned, any health, mental health, or any disability, please fill in the form. So that means that name will pop in to me and my colleagues, that we can then get in touch and discuss anything that you might need from us. Anything else to mention? I also help with the funding, so I'm part of every bit of a funding support for our students. We've got funding support officers, so they advertise everything about funding, and again, that's all on a website. But perhaps if you have any question about applications, or you're not quite sure about something, especially once students are started with us, they can come and I can help and answer any questions regarding applications for funding and what's available as well. So that's really what I do, and I'm happy to answer any questions later on. And I will pass on to Janet, which is my colleague, Janet Hiddleston.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Hiddleston, so I'm Education Support at Oatridge Campus. So my role is obviously, as it states, is education. So when you put in your application form, if you've ticked on the box that you have any learning challenge, so this could be dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, autism, Tourette's, anything at all, then obviously I would be in touch with yourself, or as it comes to Welcome Week, we go round the classes and obviously we introduce ourselves. That's another obviously key point to then get in touch and we can talk. From there, we open up a personal support plan that takes in things like extra time, coloured paper, quiet room for assessments, or fewer people in the room. What we look for is obviously a diagnosis. If you don't have a diagnosis for dyslexia, then obviously we can test you at SRUC. So that takes forward from that one. We have class support, and we're not school, so we don't have as much class support as high schools do, but we do have one or two staff members who obviously can go into classes and help with that as well. And they're there to support with assessments as well. So if you move up to HE level, so HNC, HND, we can apply for DSA, which is Disability Student Allowance. So that falls under if you have any learning challenges, if you have any health conditions or mental health conditions. Now, the sooner we can apply, the better, because SAS is pretty slow at processing and getting obviously the equipment back. So if you're awarded with DSA, it can be anything from a laptop with the updated technologies that are out there, a printer and paper, study support, proofreading, mental health, a certain chair if you have mobility issues. So there's lots and lots there that DSA can put in support. But again, it's really important to get in touch and do that as soon as possible. Work closely with all the other education support tutors at other campuses. And we try and do obviously the best we can to support students. We have regular check-ins and we try and do reviews at the beginning of each block. But what we ask students to do is get in touch with us before then if there's any issues, so we can obviously support there. And like Slava, I am a safeguarding officer and a named person for the campus as well. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. So at this point, if anybody's got any questions, then please pop them in the chat and we'll go through them. Unfortunately, Saul from Student Associations had to drop off, but if there's any questions, put them in the chat anyway, and we can catch up with them at a later date. So the first question I have is for Sharon, actually. It is, I've got a holiday booked for early to mid-September. Can I still apply for my course, or if I miss the first week, should I defer for a year?
Can still apply, but they would really need to speak to the teaching staff to see whether they can be able to catch up. However, usually if it's just welcome week they're going to miss, then it's not really a problem because they can do their induction the following week. First week probably will be all right, but definitely need to discuss with their course tutor just to check.
Okay, brilliant. And next question, I'd like to ask if there is any specific support for students who are neurodivergent.
So that would be, I think, either Slava or Janet for that one.
So depending on where they fall under the neurodivergent label, both myself and Slava would cross over into that one. So again, depending on if it was more for learning, I would take it. If it was more for pastoral, then Slava would take it.
Great. And next question, are courses the same in different campuses? So I think with that is, say, agriculture. would you get the same learning experience at Oatridge as you would at Edinburgh?
There'll be the same course content, but depends really what the applicant would be looking for, whether they want a more rural environment. So then you would say probably Oatridge. If they're wanting to be in the centre of Edinburgh, so that side of it, they could perhaps get a different student experience, but the teaching should be the exact same. They'll cover the same course content because they're all working from the same syllabus. Timetables could also be different because it depends if some of the teaching staff perhaps have other courses that they're maybe teaching into. So the timetable could be slightly different. It could be different days. So if they go to Oatridge, they're not necessarily going to be in the exact same timetable as what Edinburgh or Aberdeen or Barony are doing if it's agriculture. That could change.
Yeah, I would very much recommend going to an on-campus open day or doing a campus tour just to get the real experience of the campus.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I apply for different campuses, at what stage would I decide if I'm offered a place?
So if they apply for an FE level course, so either your NC, your certificate, your advanced certificate, then it comes from ourselves. Sorry, I've lost the plot here. What was the question again? Sorry.
No, you're fine. It is, if I apply for different campuses, when would I have to decide when I have to pick my campus?
So again, if it's FE and they can apply for 2 courses, then they will only get offered the first choice because their second is a reserve if they don't get offered the first choice. So say they apply for NC Agriculture at Oatridge and Barony, and Oatridge is their first choice, they will get made an offer they will not get made an offer for their second choice. Whereas with UCAS is totally different because they can make 5 choices. They need to wait till they have a decision in everyone. So we did have someone who phoned up last week and they have been made an offer for one and they'd like to accept that. They can't until all 5 choices have a decision on them. If they decide that the one that they've got an offer for is what they want, then they'll have to go into the UCAS and withdraw the others. Then they can accept. We have until May, so people who applied by the UCAS deadline in January, we actually have until May to make a decision. Obviously, we don't want it to be that long, so we'd want to get a decision back to them much sooner. But I say they do have to wait, and it could be if they've applied to other institutions as well, they may have decisions back from us and they are still waiting on other institutions, so they just have to wait. Once they've got all 5, they can have a firm choice and they can have an insurance choice. So out of the 5, it will then put them down to 2 left. And then it will depend whether if they're conditional offers, then they have to wait until they've met the conditions. So whether that's their results or if we're waiting on a reference before we can make them unconditional. So.
Okay, and another one here. If we choose apprenticeship, can we do multiple options within the 4 years funding, since some only last for a year?
Admissions are not involved with apprenticeships, unfortunately. So it would need to be someone from work-based learning who would advise on the apprenticeships.
So to the person that asked that, if you drop us an email, study@sruc.ac.uk, or reply to the email that I sent this link to, then we can put you in touch with the right people then. And what else? Here's one for student support. I have autism and have classroom support in school. Will this be available to me in college?
So as I said, unfortunately, we're not a school. We don't have class support for every single lesson that's going on campus. What we try and do is make sure that we have class support going in where required. So you might find out of 3 theory lessons, you might have class support for 2, but not the 3rd. Practical, we try not to have class support there at the present moment until we hopefully get more support. So that's at the present moment. Just now, we can cover probably half the class, but not the full courses at all, unfortunately.
Okay, brilliant. And I've also got one here. I'm awaiting a diagnosis for dyslexia. Can I get help before this becomes official?
Yes. So if the diagnosis isn't in, as I say, SRUC can do its own diagnostic test. We usually recommend that if it's came from primary school, because obviously it's a bit outdated. So we can do our own online dyslexia test. That can then be used to put in place, to put the support in place from moving forward, as I say, 25% extra time or coloured paper or a reader or scribe, whatever the student's requiring.
All right. I've also got, I have 2 young kids. I want to apply, but couldn't guarantee I can make every class. Is this acceptable? Are there ways to catch up?
So the lecturers would prefer that every student attends every single lesson. We would have to have a conversation, probably myself and Slava together with you, for pastoral support and education support to see what we can do. Because obviously if you're not in the lesson, so if you come onto campus, you're not on campus 5 days out the week, you might find that you're only on campus 3 days and the 2 days would be online learning. So you'd have to wait to see what your timetable is, and you might find that you can actually work around the 3 days that you're on campus, but it's something that we could look into once you applied.
Okay,
I could
great.
Sorry,
Oh,
I could add to that
on you
as
go.
well, just from the funding point of view. If you look at the website, we do have some childcare funding available for, it depends on if you're eligible or not, but that's something that we could support, you know, parents with the children. So we do have some childcare funding available, perhaps something to look into before you start the course to think about it.
Fantastic. And I've got one more question here. If anybody has any other questions, please pop them in the chat in the next couple of minutes. And that is, I'm not good with computers. Can I apply for an NC agriculture spot via post?
Yes. So they would have to get in touch with admissions. Not really via post isn't ideal. What we can sometimes do is we can send them an electronic, but it is really easy. It's just opening it up and just like typing in. But if that wasn't an option either, then we can always get a postal address and we could send it out. But the electronic one is just an attachment to an email, and they do just have to sort of follow it down as they would be like on a paper form and just like type in what there is. But I say if that is an issue, then we could send a postal one as well.
Okay, and I've also got a question here about funding. Is there any funding available for those that have already used SAS for an undergraduate degree but are wishing to retrain?
Again, that wouldn't be admissions. You'd need registry funding. So anybody who is looking at any sort of funding that is available could just email registryfunding@sruc.ac.uk and they will be able to advise on what other funding may be available. But they would also advise people, if they're unsure, contact SAS anyway, just to see whether they are still eligible for any funding.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Sharon. I mean, always go on SAS website. Also, they've got a really good way to get in touch. It's online, you know, chat. But on SAS website, you can look for alternative funding. So they do have a long list of other agencies that can provide funding if perhaps you are not eligible to receive a SAS funding for whatever reason. We've got some infill students perhaps that you can, because you're not a full-time student, you won't be eligible. There is a part-time fee grant. But SAS got really good, the website's really good to navigation. You can have a look, but there are other sources as well of funding if you can't get SAS funding.
Perfect. We've had a question come in saying, can I come with my school for a visit to the college? I've just replied to them in the chat there saying you can book a slot for an open day individually, or for group bookings, contact us at study@sruc.ac.uk and myself and my team can help you there. Next question, can I ask how many days a week you're on campus for an NC course?
Again, it totally depends on what the timetable is because they're all different. So definitely to attend an open day, speak to the staff and ask, because each campus will be different. So yeah, sometimes there can be like 3 days, sometimes it can be like 3.5, there can be full days, there can be half days. So yeah, that they change.
Yeah, all courses are slightly different, but you can book a space online now for our next round of open days on campus. The majority of them are late May, early June, so you can book there. And oh, I've got another question just popped in. I'm working on the online units with yourself, but not sure if I will have finished 11 units before end of school term. Will I still be considered for an NC?
Yes, presuming it's 11 units, it's principles of animal care. So they could still apply, and it probably would depend on how many of the workbooks they had actually completed. But I would definitely advise to get an application in and get it in as soon as possible, because applications for NC courses have been open since the beginning of October, and some courses are getting quite busy. So definitely apply sooner rather than later for consideration, and remember to mention that you are undertaking, if it is principles of animal care or whatever one it is, mention in that what you're doing and like how many workbooks you've already completed as well.
All right, excellent. Well, that looks like that was the last question there, so I'll bring this to a close. But thank you, Janet, Slava, and Sharon, for your contribution there. And if there are any more questions that come up after this, please just get in touch with us either using study@sruc.ac.uk, or you can reply to the email where I sent you the invitation link. But yeah, that's all from me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.